everybody, and welcome to Trans Talks, where I have conversations with practitioners across many alternative modalities and disciplines. And today I have a very interesting guest. And at first, you may be wondering, why am I having this fellow on my podcast that is usually about modalities and disciplines and healing and all that kind of stuff? Well, I'm going to introduce you. I'm going to read you his bio, and then I'll tell you a little bit about why I asked him to be here. So, Paul Taubman, hello, Paul, is
Hello.
he's a seasoned technology expert and the chief online strategist at Digital Maestro. With over 25 years experience as a solutions architect at Fortune 500 companies, Paul has a deep understanding of how to integrate complex systems and enable data sharing. He's also a skilled trainer with a passion for educating others. As a master trainer, he has taught instructors across the country how to teach technical courses. And as a respected college adjunct, he teaches computer programming courses to students. Paul has a talent for simplifying technical concepts and making them accessible to non-technical individuals. In recent years, Paul focused on teaching website development to individuals looking to take control of their online presence. He's an international speaker, presenter, and trainer, and he shares his expertise in website strategy and online marketing to help businesses and individuals increase their profits. Now, working with Paul is a stress-free experience. I will testify to that, as he empowers his clients to take control of their websites and turn them into profitable assets. Whether you're a seasoned tech expert or a non-tech individual, hello, Paul has the skills and expertise to guide you towards success. Now, I'll tell you, you can reach him you can email him at paul@digitalmaestro.com, but you'll also find that in the show notes. So you don't have to really worry about that too much right now. But my personal testimony is several years ago when I started my practice, and I was, wanted to create a website, and I thought, well, I could just like throw something simple together, which wouldn't be simple for me, by the way, because I'm not technical. Let me rephrase that. Technology it's hard for me, and I don't really enjoy it, right? So I had joined a marketing organization, networking organization, and I met Paul, and right away I thought, I got to lean in and see who this guy is. And it turns out, if you go to my website, you'll see how the kind of work that Paul does. And he also created another website for another organization that I'm involved with. And the process of working with you, Paul, was just such a pleasure. And, there are always glitches, but basically seamless working with you. And for someone like myself and a lot of the women and the healers and the people that I know that who just don't really think that way, you make the process so much easier and really pleasurable. So thank you for coming on here and sharing more about what you do and how you do it, because I think that we need you. And we
Well,
need
first of
people
all,
like
thank you very much for inviting me. Happy to be here. We always have good conversations like this, or even just offline and just chatting. So happy to help out wherever I can.
Yeah. So I'm curious, and I'm sure my listeners will be curious. How did you end up sort of, I don't want to put the word niche to it, but how did you end up in with that kind of, framework of, working with people like myself?
So working with people like yourself, that almost sounds like a loaded question. So I'll just say this, going back even as a young child in elementary school, I remember helping other people with their reading. And I don't think I was that much smarter than anybody, but just, working one-on-one with people and helping them with what they needed to do. And I remembered at lunchtime in fifth grade, going down to the first graders, there was three people, and we just kind of help the teacher out with certain things. And part of it was helping them with the lessons and one-on-one and explaining things. So that's kind of always been there. And it's never been something that I really thought about. But one of the things that I think, if I can say my superpower, is taking all that complex stuff that, needs to be done or needs to be explained and putting it into a way that I think people can understand it, or putting it into regular analogies that people can relate to. They go, oh, that's what that means. So yeah, that's kind of the way we do things. And it's been incorporated into everything that we do in the business and the education piece of that. We don't like to just do things. We like to explain why we're doing them to people so that they can make decisions themselves. Oh, I see why that's a good idea, but I still want to do it this way. And I go, okay, we can do it your way. And then later on, we'll come back when you go, oh, it's not working, and change it. So yeah, we're not attached to anything. We're attached to making our clients happy and educated.
Well, I love that. It personalizes the experience
Mhm.
for your clients. So who would you say, I don't really like the term ideal client, but who do you mostly work with? And what's your
Sure,
preference?
that's a good question. We work, if I were to look at I guess like the portfolio of our clients, or kind of look at everything that way. The majority of our clients are similar to yourself. So they're healers, they're natural healers, holistic medicine, wellness companies, people outside of what I'll, call the mainstream medical society,
Mhm.
right? Where you start out by talking about all the different modalities of the listeners, right? So we work with a lot of people like that. So yourself, hypnosis, Reiki, energy healers, aromatherapy, reflexology. And it's been something that I've always been excited to learn about ever since college. And kind of, so it was a personal kind of thing. And I thought, oh, why not work with the professionals that do this? So it kind of naturally evolved like that. We work with a lot of feng shui consultants as well.
Mm.
So that's probably, if I look at the majority, that's who we work with. And then I say we work with the traditional professions as well. So we work with schools and authors and coaches, kind of the whole gamut of other types of peoples. But when we're looking for who do we want to kind of target and work with the most, those are the type of people, your people,
My tribe.
your tribe. Yep.
It's interesting when you were saying about feng shui practitioners, right? That must be very interesting to create a website for a feng shui person because of the importance of placement in feng shui.
Yep. And the colors and the energy and the flow of just reading and that kind of, yeah. So years ago, I was invited to speak at a feng shui master consultant certification event. That's a mouthful, right? So it was basically there was a woman who's well-known feng shui. She was offering an event to certify people in feng shui. So it was a 3-day event. The first 2 days was all about feng shui and what they needed to know, etc. After that, everybody took the exam, took the test. And then on the third day, it was more about, okay, now that for those people who passed, or even if they didn't, the third day was about, okay, what do you do with this business? Like how do you organize the business? What type of entity, sole proprietor, LLC, etc. How do you market? What kind of services? And I was there to speak about websites and marketing and things that they needed. So the interesting thing is when I go to events like this, I attend the entire thing. I didn't show up for the third day. I went for the first day to kind of meet the people and learn things. And I learned more than I ever wanted to learn about feng shui. But at the end of it, at the end of the second day, I thought, I just sat through that. I just learned all that. I'm going to take the test as well. So I am actually a feng shui master consultant. Now, I don't go and do feng shui for other people. I could, but from that, learned a lot about it, and that's where I kind of got into the feng shui part of things. But it's It's all about learning about people, their product, their services, what they do. And because I think that's important. There's a lot of other agencies, developers, website people who just don't understand, not let alone feng shui, but all the other type of modalities. And, I think that's what helps us work better with people in the field.
That's wonderful. And that's actually, as you're talking about that, I'm thinking, a whole other marketing or a whole other direction of like feng shuiing your website,
Mhm,
which I know you do quite naturally anyway.
mhm.
And I'll tell you something else, and I'll tell the listeners something about when I look around at other people's websites, and there are often, when you start to look around, you see certain sort of common
Yep.
templates, or like,
Designs.
yeah, at this time, this design, you see like everybody's website looks pretty much like that, right? My website is my own. It doesn't look like anybody else's website.
Correct. Yep. If it
And
does, they copied yours.
um, so the other thing that came to mind as you were talking, so, and I'm not sure, maybe I may be putting you on the spot a little bit here, but do you feel that there is a healing component to the way that you work with people when you help them to pull out what is uniquely them, and then putting that into, a format that expresses who they are?
A healing component. I never thought, excuse me, I never thought of it that way. Uh, the way that we work with people, and as we've worked together,
Yeah.
number one, I never talk down to people, right? Which I think is just common sense. But after working with so many people who work with other people, they say, you know what, you talk to me like we're peers, like we're the same. I'm like, yeah, like that. The first time somebody said that to me, I was confused. I was like, yeah, well, of course. What do you mean? Oh, the last people we work with, they just felt like, they were talking technical, then they were saying these things. And when I would ask questions, they get annoyed. I'm like, no, please ask the questions. I want you, like I said before, I want you to be educated. So just by being equal with people, there's not a sense of healing, but there's no need for that healing to repair any sort of disrespect that I may do or could do. And so I think that's one. It's important to listen to people, to find out what they want and really what their true intention is. Because a lot of times when people get a website, they just think, oh, I want a website. Okay, great. What do you want the website to do? And that stops people. They go, what do you mean? What do I want it to do? I need a website. And then we go into the conversation of, well, do you want it to attract new clients? Do you want it to position you as the expert? Do you want to sell your services from there? Do you want to make it an e-commerce type of website? Do you want to have it to build a community where they can log in? Right? There's so many different things. And a lot of times it's like, yep, I want that. I want that. Nope, I don't need that. I want that. Right. And from that, once we know what the real reason is, then we can develop the website. And to your point from earlier, there are a lot of companies that will say, yes, we specialize in, excuse me, dentists. So if you're a dentist, we are the company for you. And all you have to do is pick one of these 5 templates and we'll create your website, which is code for, yeah, you're going to get the same website as everybody else, or one of 5. So there's a 20% chance. And it's going to look the same. Where when we build websites, we start out blank. We find out what people are looking for. I remember you talked about, oh, I want your picture up at the top and you want this and this. And we kind of had that back and forth process. So every page literally is built from nothing. And that's why it's unique.
Yes. So
So
I have something to add to that. In my own experience with you, the fact that, and because you work the way that you do, individually and specifically with each of your clients, for me, it was like a healing process because,
Okay.
or a self development process, really is more like it because you brought things out in me that I didn't realize were there.
Mhm.
You helped me dig a little bit deeper to be able to express myself in a better way. Now, obviously, it's about creating, it's for business, right? It's about creating something where people can find you and know who you are. But at the same time, the process of doing that, was for me, it was very illuminating.
Well, a lot of times we have to bring out from people who they are, what they stand for, and what they represent. And there's a lot of people out there who never gave that any thought.
Hmm.
So in that case, yeah, I can see how that can happen.
Yeah.
Well, good. I'm glad that happened.
Yeah, me too. Thank you. Um, what would you say is the key to success for, like, what do you look for? What are the things that you look for as a measure that, a website is working or it's not working?
So the number one measure for success in my eyes, and that we do, at least we do this now. Going back, I don't remember if I may have done. We have a sort of a project questionnaire that we start out with. At least we do now. I don't know if I asked you to fill this out back then.
I think so.
Okay, good. So then one of the questions on there is, in a year from now, once your website's completed, what do you, the client, think? How do you envision success? And that to me is the success measurement. Now, I'll be honest with you. There are times when people will fill that out and say, well, in a year from now, I want 1,000 visitors a month. I want 20 clients coming to me every month. And I want to, have an income of X dollars. And then that starts another conversation of, okay, we can do that, but that's a lot of work. That's not just a website. That includes now marketing. That includes advertising. Right? So there's some expectations that need to be set. And again, it's all education. And people go, oh, yeah, I can see that. It's like saying, oh, congratulations, you're coming to the School of Construction, right? And it's a 3-month process where you'll be an apprentice and you'll learn how to work on houses and homes, and you can get a job with a contractor. The end of that, you're not going to be able to build a commercial building by yourself.
Right.
Right. If you want to do that, that's great. Let's develop the plan and continue that on so that you can get that. So sometimes, as I mentioned, expectations need to be set, and other times it's just, yeah, we can do this. Let's work to this. And that's how we can sometimes see what's needed on the website for different types of things.
So I know that you added something not too long ago to your services for people, and that is the social media end of things. You want to talk a little bit about that and what that is?
Sure. So one aspect of, so I'm going to say one of the main aspects of having a website, putting it out there, is that you need people to see it, right? So like the Kevin Costner movie, Field of Dreams, if you build it, they will come. Not necessarily true with websites. You can build your website, put it out there, and you'll hear crickets. So we talk about driving traffic, getting people to your website. And there's a lot of ways to do that. Simple things like creating your business card and putting your website on it, putting your website, a little tagline on your email signature so people can know, letting them know about that. Other ways, free ways, are social media, right? So what we started to do for clients is to develop the posts and the content so that we can post that on whatever platforms are good for them. And not every platform is good for everybody. So it could be Twitter or X, it could be Facebook, it could be LinkedIn, Instagram, Pinterest, right? Whatever those are. So we started working with clients, developing a questionnaire. Again, it always goes back to finding out and educating ourselves about you and determining, okay, what's your voice? Like, are you fun or you playful? Are you professional? Are you serious? Not that one is better than the other, but just finding out from people. Who are your perfect clients? What do they look like? What are your brand color? All that kind of stuff. Once we have that, we can digest it, we mull it over, and we develop a strategy. For the most part, for social media, just posting when you get inspiration is probably not the best, right? There should be a strategy, there should be a plan. So we've come up with a plan of which platforms and how frequent and what's it going to be about. Once we have that, we'll start to develop some sample posts that we can actually use to post. We provide that to the client. They take a look at it, they go, yep, we like it. So from that point on, we develop the content. Typically, it's 3 or 4 times a week. And then send it to the client, say, what do you think? And they approve it. And they can go, yep, like it, I like it, approve, approve. Oh, wait, you missed something on this. Okay, great, let's change it. We change it and revise it, and then they go, ultimately, yep, I like it, and it gets scheduled out. So it's a way to get that visibility on the social media platforms to drive client or drive the visitors to your website. And usually it's, not just to the homepage, but to something specific that you want eyes and visibility on. So it might be a new program, it might be a talk that you're giving or something of that nature. So again, it's very specific. The posts are designed to drive traffic to something specific as opposed to just, here I am, go to my website. Okay, that works for some things, and in some cases you want to do that. But the more specific you can be when you're putting together your posts, so it's, again, what's that reason? Everything should have a reason. Your social media posts should have a reason.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been fun. We've been doing that a lot.
I love that. Yeah, it's like a one-stop shop
Yeah.
coming to work with you. It's beautiful. Yeah. Um, Anything else that you want to share?
I would just say the collectively, as a general rule, right, so I'm not saying this to anybody in specific, but a lot of times, specifically for the healers, most people who are in the healing area don't just have one modality. There's usually several different things that people do.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result, because people are multifaceted like that, they like to put all of that stuff on their website. And when people put down that they do all of these different things, especially on the homepage, I can help you as a life coach because we can work on this and we can do this. And I'm certified in that. And this can help. And maybe it's this. People get lost with that. So there's a way to manage your website to include all those services, but not what I call, just blurting it all out to somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If you think about a networking meeting, if you go to meet some, or even if your elevator pitch, if you talk to somebody and you say, oh, I do this and this and this and this and this, and I can heal this and I can work on it, people can go, whoa, and they're going to run away.
Right.
But if you keep, certain things simple and more broad of, oh, I can help people who XYZ, that allows the other person to say, oh, and how do you do that?
Yeah.
Right. And then you can really tailor your answer to the type of issues or the work, the help that somebody needs. So that sort of design or navigation, if you will, can also apply to somebody's website. So instead of throwing everything out there, this is what I do, manage that so people can understand in bits and bytes of literally bits and bite-sized pieces, so they're not overwhelmed because you do so much.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a really good point. I'm glad you mentioned that, because it is, when we've done all the stuff, we've done all the things, we've studied, we've learned, we have all, like I was on I presented to a group of colleagues the other night, and she was reading my bio, and I'm a this and I'm a that and I'm a this and I'm a that. I'm like, oh my gosh, I gotta go take a nap now. Really, you can simplify things down, and you've been really helpful for that, for me, to learning how to streamline and talk about myself and my services in a way that is, you know, inspiring and not overwhelming. So I just personally, I want to thank you so much for everything you've done for me.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Yeah. And thank you. And yeah, what if when people want to find you, I know I mentioned your email before, but how can people find out more about you? Where should they go to find you?
So best place is just head over to the website, digitalmaestro.com. You can see some of the things that we do. Just, there's a contact page over there. You gave out the email address, just shoot me an email. Happy to have a conversation, and if people have questions about what's possible, what's not possible. We just have even if you're working with somebody with your website, I like to answer questions. So
Yeah, I think you're one of the most accessible people that I know. Yeah. So thank you so much for all that you do, Paul, and what you're uh what you present in the world is really very useful and very helpful. And yeah, thank you again for
you're
coming on
welcome.
Trans Talks.
Happy to be here.
See you
Thank you very much.
around the neighborhood.
You will.
Take care. Thank you.
Bye.